Visitors appeared in the afternoons. A steady steam poured from the world into the tranquil hermitage. My Guru treated all guests with courtesy and kindness. A master, one who has realized himself as the omnipresent soul, not the body or the ego, perceives in all men a striking similarity. The impartiality of saints is rooted in wisdom. They are no longer influenced by the alternating phases of Maya, no longer subject to the likes and dislikes that confuse the judgment of unenlightened men. Shri Yukteswar showed no special consideration to those who were powerful, rich or accomplished, neither did he slight others for their poverty or illiteracy. He would listen respectfully to words of truth from a child, and on occasion would openly ignore a conceited pandit. 8 o'clock was the supper hour, and sometimes found lingering guests. My Guru would not excuse himself to eat alone. None left his ashram hungry or dissatisfied. Shri Yukteswar was never at a loss, never dismayed by unexpected visitors. Under his resourceful directions to the disciples, scanty food would emerge a banquet. Yet he was economical. His modest funds went far. "Be comfortable within your purse," he often said. "Extravagance will bring you discomfort." Whether in the details of hermitage entertainment, or of building and repair work, or of other practical concerns, Master manifested the originality of a creative spirit. Quiet evening hours often brought me one of my Guru's discourses, treasures against time. His every utterance was chiseled by wisdom. A sublime self-assurance marked his mode of expression. It was unique. He spoke as none other in my experience ever spoke. His thoughts were weighed in a delicate balance of discrimination before he permitted them the outward garb of speech. The essence of truth, all pervasive with even a physiological aspect, came from him like a fragrant exudation of the soul. I was conscious always that I was in the presence of a living manifestation of God. The weight of his divinity automatically bowed my head before him. If guests detected that Shri Yukteswar was becoming engrossed with the infinite, he quickly engaged them in conversation. He was incapable of striking a pose or of flaunting his inner withdrawal. Always one with the Lord, he needed no separate time for communion. A self-realized master has already left behind the stepping stone of meditation. The flower falls when the fruit appears. But saints often cling to spiritual forms in order to set an example for disciples. As midnight approached, my Guru might fall into a doze with the naturalness of a child. There was no fuss about bedding. He often lay down without even a pillow. On a narrow Davenport that was the background for his customary tiger skin seat. A night-long philosophical discussion was not rare. Any disciple could summon it by intensity of interest. I felt no tiredness then, no desire for sleep. Master's living words were sufficient. "Oh, it is dawn. Let us walk by the Ganges." So ended many of my periods of nocturnal edification. My early months with Shri Yukteswar culminated in a useful lesson, how to outwit a mosquito. At home, my family always used protective curtains at night. I was dismayed to discover that in the Serampore Hermitage this prudent custom was honored in the breach. Yet the insects were in full residence. I was bitten from head to foot. My Guru took pity on me. "Buy yourself a curtain and also one for me." He laughed and added, "If you buy only one for yourself, all mosquitoes will concentrate on me." I was more than thankful to comply. On every night that I spent in Serampore, my Guru would ask me to arrange the bedtime curtains. One night, when a cloud of mosquitoes surrounded us, Master failed to issue his usual instructions. I listened nervously to the anticipatory hum of the insects. Getting into bed, I threw a propitiatory prayer in their general direction. A half-hour later, I coughed pretentiously to attract my Guru's attention. I thought I would go mad with the bites and especially the singing drone as the mosquitoes celebrated bloodthirsty rites. No responsive stir from Master. I approached him cautiously. He was not breathing. This was my first close observation of him in the yogic trance. It filled me with fright. His heart must have failed. I placed a mirror under his nose. No breath vapor appeared. To make doubly certain, for minutes I closed his mouth and nostrils with my fingers. His body was cold and motionless. In a daze, I turned toward the door to summon help. So, a budding experimentalist, my poor nose. Master's voice was shaky with laughter. Why don't you go to bed? Is the whole world going to change for you? Change yourself. Be rid of the mosquito consciousness. Meekly I returned to my bed. Not one insect ventured near. I realized that my guru had previously agreed to the curtains only to please me. He had had no fear of mosquitoes. By yogic power he could prevent them from biting him, or if he chose, he could escape to an inner invulnerability. He was giving me a demonstration, I thought. That is the yogic state I must strive to attain. A true yogi is able to pass into and maintain the superconscious state, regardless of multitudinous distractions never absent from this earth. The buzz of insects, the pervasive glare of daylight, in the first subhikalp state of samadhi, the devotee shuts off all sensory testimony of the outer world. He is rewarded then by sounds and scenes of inner realms, fairer than the pristine Eden. The instructive mosquito served for another early lesson at the ashram. It was the gentle hour of dusk. My guru was matchlessly interpreting the ancient texts. At his feet I was in perfect peace. A rude mosquito entered the idyll and competed for my attention. As it dug a poisonous hypodermic needle into my thigh, I automatically raised an avenging hand. Reprieve from impending execution? An opportune memory had come to me of Patanjali's aphorism on ahimsa, harmlessness. Why didn't you finish the job? Master, do you advocate taking life? No, but in your mind you had already struck the death blow. I don't understand. By ahimsa, Patanjali meant removal of the desire to kill. Shri Yukteswar had found my mental processes an open book. This world is inconveniently arranged for a literal practice of ahimsa. Man may be compelled to exterminate harmful creatures. He is not under a similar compulsion to feel anger or animosity. All forms of life have an equal right to the air of Maya. The saint who uncovers the secret of creation will be in harmony with nature's countless bewildering expressions. All men may understand this truth by overcoming the passion for destruction. Guruji, should one offer himself a sacrifice rather than kill a wild beast? No, man's body is precious. It has the highest evolutionary value because of unique brain and spinal centers. These enable the advanced devotee fully to grasp and express the loftiest aspects of divinity. No lower form is so equipped. It is true that a man incurs the debt of a minor sin if he is forced to kill an animal or any other living thing. But the holy Shastras teach that wanton loss of a human body is a serious transgression against the karmic law. I sighed in relief. Scriptural reinforcement of one's natural instincts is not always forthcoming. Master, so far as I know, was never at close quarters with a leopard or a tiger, but a deadly cobra once confronted him only to be conquered by his love. The encounter took place in Puri, where my guru had a seaside hermitage. Praful, a young disciple of Shri Yukteswar's later years, was with Master on this occasion. We were seated outdoors near the ashram. Praful told me a cobra appeared nearby, a 4-foot length of sheer terror. Its hood was angrily expanded as it raced toward us. Master gave a welcoming chuckle as though to a child. I was filled with consternation to see Shri Yukteswarji engage in a rhythmical clapping of hands. He was entertaining the dread visitor. I remained completely quiet, inwardly ejaculating fervent prayers. The serpent very close to Master was now motionless, seemingly magnetized by his caressing attitude. The frightful hood gradually contracted. The snake slithered between Shri Yukteswarji's feet and disappeared into the bushes. Why Master would move his hands and why the cobra would not strike them were inexplicable to me then. Praful concluded, I have since come to realize that our divine Guru is beyond fear of hurt from any creature.